Hey gals and guys, it's your host Phil Larson, and this is your motivational high five on success. Let's do this. Welcome back to the show. We are doing our second segment on success. Today we have a guest, Emily Khoo. She got a shout out in one of the early episodes. She was one of the first people that contacted me once the podcast was live, and she has been enjoying, and she's been an early listener from the get-go. If you are out there and you want to also let me know that you're listening, please do. Phil@thestoryshop.tv is my email. We've had a little bit of technical issues with our website. Sorry about that, but thestoryshop.tv/podcast is now live again. If you go back there, and you can get involved in the internal motivators community, which right now is a mailing list, but as an extra incentive, if you sign up, then you also get a free download of the song that this episode and all the other episodes, or most of them, end on. I've talked to Emily a few times over email and now even over the phone, and Emily is an inspiring person. Her nickname is Emu, E-M-O-O, and if you go to emusays.com, then I think you will get inspired too. She lives in New York City, and she's doing some cool things around there and interviewing a lot of people on her site. In particular, one section of her site called The Human Side, she interviews and collects stories from creators, artists, and entrepreneurs about what it's like to pursue their dreams. And she likes to talk about the successes of these people's projects, but also the sacrifices and setbacks and time invested that comes with building something meaningful, which gives the reader a more accurate perspective on pursuing your dreams and defining success. She interviewed me over the phone for her website, and she is really she's a great interviewer, and I really like the sound of her voice. She should do a podcast, huh? Yeah. If you like what she has to say and you want to reach out to her, get in contact with her on her website at emusays.com. Again, that's E-M-O-O, emusays.com.
One of the things I always ask when I interview people is, how do you want to be remembered? Now, I know that's a really heavy question because rarely do any of us really think that far ahead about what kind of impact we want to make and path we want to go down, but I think it's a really important question that we need to think about, because as we navigate through our lives, sometimes we have moments where we feel lost along our path. I first thought about this idea when I came across a book called Road to Character. It's written by David Brooks, who is a columnist for the New York Times. In that book, he talks about two things: the resume and eulogy virtues. The resume virtues are basically things that we're brought up to strive for, which are getting a good education, finding a stable job and career path, making money, and having status in the world. However, the things that we don't focus on enough, and the things that get lost as we're trying to chase these resume virtues, are the eulogy virtues, which are being a good person, practicing kindness and compassion, and living an authentic life. What kind of experience do we want to have during the time that we're given, and how do we want to be remembered? Generosity and compassion can really go a long way in the fulfillment of our lives, but I think all too often we allow others to determine our self-worth, and in turn we end up chasing the wrong things because we're more focused about what other people want for us instead of listening to ourselves about what we really want. Today I want to talk about success. We're all hardwired to chase success. But what exactly is success? Is it a person who lives their life as a vagabond, traveling and gaining knowledge from the world? Or is it a person who lives with financial abundance, but never gets to see the sunset because they're so engrossed by their work? I have a friend who was planning to go to law school and instead ended up moving to Colorado because she absolutely loves nature and she loves to ski. Those are things that she's very passionate about. So what she did was she ended up finding a job at a family-owned ski lodge. And now basically has the opportunity to ski at her leisure. In the summers, she hikes, rock climbs, caves, and in the process discovers these random pockets of nature that are just too breathtaking to bear. Would one consider her successful or wealthy? I personally think she is. In fact, I envy her because there's so much beauty in the world and so many interesting people with so much wisdom that surround us every single day. But all too often, we are just too busy to take notice. There's more to life than building our resumes, and having outlets where we're able to connect with others makes it evident that the majority of us are searching for similar things. We all want to learn how to live a happy and purposeful life. The reality is, when we pass on, our eulogies are not filled with resume accomplishments. Nobody talks about how you made a killing on your market shares or how many cars or homes you owned. They talk about what kind of person you were. Were you kind, funny, caring, a good listener, an adventurer, a decent human being? What kind of legacy do you want to leave? So, in closing, I want to pose this question to you. What do you want your eulogy virtues to be?
What are your eulogy virtues? What do you want to be remembered for? I like that people don't really seem to remember you for what you have or what you've achieved, but who you are, who you've become over your life. And by the end of your life, that transformation into who you've become. Emily puts a nice spin on what is important in life, what is successful. And whenever I have guest voices, I want you guys to understand that these are people's opinions. You don't have to agree with them, but I hope it gets you to think. And Emily did that very well today. Again, like our first episode on success, you get to define success. But if success to you is climbing a corporate ladder, be careful, be cautious. Ladders fall. So count the cost of what the climb will take. Science shows that we get the most fulfillment in life when we open ourselves up to community, to intimate, to community, to being known by people and to know people. And if your definition of success is preventing you from that, I would really caution you. Again, I can't make you do anything, neither can Emily, but I think will both caution you that you won't get the fulfillment you seek. Emily poses some very important questions that puts in perspective things that we need to answer for ourselves to define our success. How do you want to be remembered? Who do you want to become? When answering these questions, it can put a purpose to our life. It can put kind of a mission statement to our life. And that's something that I hope you answer. At the end of every episode, we take a proactive approach in caring for our mental health. If you're near a mirror or something you can see your reflection in, will you begin to rewire your brain? As we found out, it's possible in episode 15. Check it out. We do this by introducing positive storytelling and positive voices into our life. And the most positive, the most powerful one for you is your own. We take advantage of that today by saying this. I can have a successful life by answering the question, who do I want to become? Again, how do you want to be remembered? Who do you want to become? Let that be the lens through which you define your success. But nothing I've said here today, nor Emily, will do anything if you don't make a decision. As always, it starts with you.